This story is called Git. You'll see why in a minute. I came around the corner of an old barn once, and there was a grizzled old guy there looking at me. He'd been waiting, and he was pointing a rifle right at me. You see, after school, I like to run barefoot along a packed clay path back up in the fields near my house. That path would bake smooth in the hot sun, and it would weave in and out between patches of osage and thickets of weeds. And I would run back and forth in my Tar Heels for a half mile or so, each time leaning into the curves and breaking out on the straightaways, and each time imagining where that trail went anew. Well, I always did know not to follow the trail to its true origin, down in a hollow with its barn and shabby old white house. I didn't think anybody lived down there anymore, but even I know that you don't go creeping around somebody's yard out in the country when they don't know you. And there could be dogs. I was always good with dogs, but some cannot be overcome without the owner giving them a signal. So I always turned back on my running trail before I got too close to possible civilization, though I doubted there was any. But for some reason on this particular day, my curiosity got the better of me, and I followed the trail down into the bowl of the hollow to take a closer look at the barn. There was no sign of recent cows, and I doubted there were bales of straw in the loft. And I slowly approached and went through the big opening where I knew wagons had entered in past years. As expected, the lofts were bare. What tools there were old and leaning crooked here and there. On one side were some rusted plows and well-worn handles, and what looked like most of a disassembled tractor. But as barns go, it was pretty empty. Ahead on the far side was the identical opening for wagons so they could pass through, loading or unloading without turning around. That's what I figured. And through there, further down the hill, was the old house, its porch facing right up towards me, maybe 150 feet away. I had no intention of going down there, of course. Some of the upstairs windows were boarded up, and there were some weathered bricks piled up to help with getting on and off a plank to the front door. There were no cars in the side yard, nor did it look much like there had been any in quite a while. That seemed to confirm that nobody had lived there in a long time. I had to wonder what it would be like in there. I had been in abandoned houses before, further out in the country, and they were alive with old stories. Would there be broken toys left in the corner of a bedroom? What would be the pattern of the linoleum on the kitchen floor? Would the edges be matched up perfectly, or would there be misalignments due to laziness or miscalculation? How dangerous would it be, inching down a hallway on creaking boards and worrying about falling through into the basement, never to be found? But I knew I wasn't going down to the house on that day. It would be required to return to the barn many times and understand it completely before venturing into the main part of that place's life. It was dark and hot and dusty in the barn, and I got to thinking I would like to return to the bright light of the open fields and see if I could slip up on some bob whites and see them in their camouflaged crouches before they flew. It was a game I loved to play, and since I was barefoot, the field stubble had a tendency to chop you up pretty good if you didn't move very carefully. But I was sure that one day I would be able to see at least one weed-striped quail in his cocksure hidden stance. I had not yet managed to spot a single one pre-motion in years of trying, but I was sure it could be done. And yet, I wasn't quite ready to head back yet. I thought I would at least stick my head out through the far side opening and glance to the right and left, get a feel for the lay of the land, so I would know how to think about the possible future day when I would venture further towards the house. So I went to the side wall where only my head could be seen from the far porch or window and looked out to the side. The old guy was dressed in faded, nearly obliterated work overalls. His teeth and lips were stained dark brown, and he had alert, dark, weary eyes. He pointed the rifle at me and said, "Get," and I got.